Yo, what is up guys, it's Pedro here. In today's video, I'll be going over a report from Bleacher Report saying that the Washington Commanders would be interested in trading for a Myles Garrett, Maxx Crosby, or Garrett Wilson if they became available. Key word there, if. So we'll talk about that, some other injury news as well with Sam Cosmi and his recovery, a bunch of other stuff. If you guys are new, make sure to subscribe. We're really close to 15,000 subscribers, about 200 away. Hit that button. It's free, takes 1 second. It really does mean a ton to the channel. So let's get right into it. And like I said, this is a report. This is a rumor, not saying that they are going to trade for him or even that, they're super interested in them. This is just what Bleacher Report is saying, and I'll read it right here. Should a top-tier pass rusher like Myles Garrett or Maxx Crosby become available in a trade, the Commanders will probably make an offer. The same could be true if a receiver like Deebo Samuel or Garrett Wilson hits the trade market. Washington may also consider making a play for tight end Kyle Pitts, who is underutilized by the Atlanta Falcons ever since his rookie season, even if Ertz is retained. So they threw out some names, not necessarily, I don't know necessarily the reporting on it. Seems like they have some information there with, Crosby and Myles Garrett. I don't see the Browns trading Myles Garrett. They have a top pick. They can probably get a quarterback, and they feel like they're fine for the future. The Raiders, on the other hand, that's a different story. And Maxx Crosby has actually been very supportive of Jaden Daniels and even the Commanders over the last, few weeks. Not saying that means anything, but it is something. And also the Raiders, they got a new head coach. They got in Pete Carroll, they got a new general manager. So Pete Carroll obviously definitely wants, Maxx Crosby to stick around and be on the team because he's the best player on the Raiders, and it's really not close. I mean, him and then probably Brock Bowers, who is a stud as well. But Maxx Crosby is an elite player at a premium position, whatever you want to say there. He is a really good player. The Raiders could get a lot of draft capital for him. And, he's still relatively young. He's 27 years old, but maybe he doesn't necessarily fit the Raiders' timeline. I think they should keep him, but he is more likely to be moved than, I would say, Myles Garrett. And then Deebo Samuel, I would not go for him. I know they have the connection there. And if Adam Peters does make that trade, I'm going to trust him on that because he was in San Francisco when Deebo got drafted for his whole career up until this past year. So he knows what he needs to know about Deebo Samuel. So if he trades for him, I'm confident that it's going to work out, or at least I'll be more confident than I am right now, because right now I just don't think Deebo Samuel's the same player he once was. This past year, with Ayuk out, he was supposed to be the number one option, and he just wasn't. When Ayuk got hurt, it was Juwan Jennings' show, and it wasn't the Deebo Samuel show. He was struggling with drops. Looks like he gained some weight. Just not the guy necessarily we want to go for right now. And, he's not old per se, but he's definitely not young. I mean, he's that same class as Terry, so 2019. So he's in his, late-ish 20s. So I'd rather go for a guy like Garrett Wilson. Obviously, the draft compensation you're going to have to give up for Deebo is much less than what you're going to have to give up for a Garrett Wilson. A Garrett Wilson, I would probably say at least a first-round pick. And, Deebo, not even close to that. But Garrett's going to be more than a first. Maxx Crosby, multiple first. Myles Garrett, same thing. If the Commanders are in position to get one of these guys, I would love to go after Maxx Crosby. Give up the 29th pick. It would be great to use a pick on a guy, but you can get an elite pass rusher right now who's under contract in Maxx Crosby, who would be perfect for the culture. Why not do it? And obviously, you'd still have to give up some more draft capital. Maybe you trade a player as well. I don't know. But that's something that I would consider for sure if they can. This is his, salary right here. It's very, very doable for the Commanders if they want to, make a trade there. He's, the base salary is 22 and then 18 in 2026. So he's under contract for 2 more seasons. including this season and then 2026. So 2 full seasons that he would be under contract. You're going to have to give up a lot of money or a lot of draft capital for him. You probably would extend him as well, but I think it would be a great move. But this just shows the Commanders are looking for edge. I think it's a position to go after. I like Dorrance Armstrong. He's a solid guy. He's not elite, though. I think they need an elite guy. So, Dante Fowler's a free agent. He probably goes somewhere else. I don't think they're going to keep him. He really had a quiet last, 5-6 games of the season. So I think Dante Fowler is probably not going to be here. So if they can get an elite type pass rusher, whether that's a late first round guy or it is a Maxx Crosby, Myles Garrett, or another guy that becomes available over this offseason or maybe in free agency as well, there's guys available. But they also said Kyle Pitts. I don't know how much of a Kyle Pitts guy I would be. If it's cheap, you don't have to give up much for him. I wouldn't mind it, but honest, I'm not giving up, and I think that's what it would take. I'm not giving up a day 2 pick for Kyle Pitts. I'm just not. He's solid, sure, but he's nothing. He's nothing special. He's nothing special, at least at the moment. He has talent, of course, but you look at his stats, and it's just nothing crazy, man. I mean, he had 600 yards this year. He played all 17 games. Like, Zach Ertz played better than him. I'm not saying Zach Ertz is better, but I mean, argument could be made there. And obviously, Pitts is younger. He's 24, maybe 25. So he's still very young, and he's in the prime of, or entering the prime of his career. But just got some injuries, and it just hasn't worked out. So I'm not giving up a day 2 pick for Kyle Pitts. Maybe give up a low tier player and a day 3 pick. And if that gets it done, that gets it done. But I don't know if that gets it done. I don't know if the Falcons are willing to move on from him for just that. So for me, I'm not a big Kyle Pitts guy. He is more of a hybrid. So maybe you can, you probably could have him and Ben Sinnott on the field a lot. Or sorry, him and Zach Ertz on the field a lot at the same time. And Ben, also that's a got to watch out for as well. I wouldn't mind them bringing in a tight end, but let's see how he develops over this offseason. He had let's just say it, he had an underwhelming rookie year. I know you don't expect a lot from a rookie tight end, but you expect more than 30 yards. And he did have the catch in the NFC Championship game, which is good. But one thing to consider, tight end is a position that takes a longer time to develop. So let's see what he does in year 2, if he is part of the future for this team, or is he just a John Bates type of player? And there's nothing wrong with that, but just not necessarily what you want in a second round pick. What they wanted with the second round pick is more than John Bates. And I'm not saying that he can't be a good tight end. We don't know yet. Let's see what he does this coming year, this offseason. It's a big year for him. 1 year in the NFL. He didn't deal with injuries. He played the full year. So he's gotten a lot of experience. Now let's see what he can do with the full offseason. And let's see if he can put it together and just, ball out. He was, working under Zach Ertz and John Bates, some vets there. So hopefully he's able to develop this offseason. So some injury news. Sam Cosmi, his wife posted and himself, he reposted on Instagram, had surgery. So here we go. Road to recovery begins today with the heart there. So hopefully everything goes well with Cosmi. It sucks that it happened late in the season, and honestly wish it happened. Not that it happened earlier. Obviously you don't want it to happen, but he had the surgery earlier. Wish it happened like right after the game. I guess they were just trying to figure out things, how to approach the surgery and stuff like that. I'm not a doctor, so that's probably what was happening. Just making sure they're doing the right thing. But every week matters, especially when it's this late in the season and you don't know when he's going to come back. I mean, it's probably, especially for a bigger guy, probably not going to be back for the start of the season. Maybe something like after the bye, but I don't even know if you want to rush a guy back from an ACL and put him back out there in the middle of the season. It might just be better to wash it. I mean, it depends on how the recovery is going and how quickly he could potentially come back. So just something to watch out for. I think it's just the ACL, nothing else major. I could be wrong, so you guys can correct me in the comments down below. But overall, it's not a, awful injury where it's like a Reuben Foster or a Chase Young type of ACL tear, where it's more than just the ACL, is multiple other ligaments, RG3 too, where that just takes a lot longer to recover from. Other news, Terry McLaurin and Jaden Daniels, who both made the Pro Bowl as starters, they're not going to be playing. They decided to sit out. They're probably still, not upset. I mean, yeah, still upset and a little like mad about the loss, and they're dealing with injuries. They're tired, so it just, they decided to opt out of it, which makes sense. Jaden Daniels, he doesn't need all that shine and stuff. He's fine just chilling and getting, back to work and ready for next year, which is great. But yeah, that is it for today's video. Hope you guys did enjoy. If you did, hit that like button, subscribe if you guys are new, and peace.